Christ Freedom Church. Ooh, ooh. That was probably not the oop oop that you guys have historically heard, but it's here. Hey, church, I want to just briefly come before you and just share some thanksgiving and gratitude in my heart in light of your prayers, in light of your letters, in light of your random pop-up visits. Just in the wake of the season that my family and I have been walking through, we have felt your prayers, and God has been faithful to draw near, as many of you have prayed very specifically for my family and for myself as well. And so, man, just thank you. This side of grief is new for me. I'm often the one giving the comfort for those who are grieving. I'm often the one on the other side of grief, helping to give people comfort, give families comfort. And so to receive the comfort from our church, my church, has been a great encouragement. And I share this with a few, and I want to share this with you. For the last 2.5, almost 3 years, I've operated as pastor of Christ Freedom Church, where vision casting, execution, delegation, majority of those things have fallen on my plate and in my lap. And I don't know how much I've actually navigated with our church as a member. In this season of my life, I have realized something about myself and about our people that has welcomed me to feel something that I've not felt before. And that is that I and my family, my wife and our kids, we are members of Christ Freedom Church because I felt your comfort. I felt your generosity. I felt your love, and I've heard your prayers. And so, church, thank you so much. I cannot communicate in words how grateful we are to be here, and how enormous your prayers, your cards, your texts, and even just showing up to our house has meant to my soul. And so thank you so much. And so even in the wake of all the stuff going on in my life, I do want to also share where we are briefly as a church. And so, friends, we are still in a pandemic. And I know many of us are really tired. Many of us are very frustrated. And many of us just want to get back to life as normal and as usual. The tension on the church side is we just have some things that will hinder us from getting back to church as normal as we once had it before. And so first I want to talk about Lily Jackson. And so Lily Jackson has been generous and open and loving in their communication to us, as well as the district has been in their communication to us, where we can meet in Lily Jackson. We can gather in the parking lot of Lily Jackson. The issue about meeting inside of Lily Jackson is that we have to adhere to social distancing mandates on the inside, which means that our capacity in the cafetorium will be anywhere between 50 to 75 people. And that will cause that environment for our church to feel kind of cold. And it won't feel the same. And so there's a tension there. And then also there's a tension as we consider our drive-in services. Because we are still in a pandemic, and because of what we all desire with the body, there's not a whole lot of social distancing when we have our drive-in services, because we long to be with one another. We're having conversation with one another. And in church, as pastor, I live in that tension of, I want us to gather, but I'm also sensitive to the times. And so the frequency of our gatherings are limited so that we can adhere, one, to social distancing mandates, but also be careful with exposure to this virus and disease that is very unseen. And so, church, I want you to hear me when I say this. I long for us to be back together in some type of normal rhythm. The reality right now is I really don't know what that's going to look like, because we don't have our own building. And obviously the weather is turning and will turn, but we also want to be careful that when we gather, even drive-in services, that we are still being sensitive, because for some people, we don't even know if we carry it or we don't. And so I just want to be careful, and I really want to care for our church well to ensure that we are still being safe. And so here's what I want to invite you into. If you are frustrated, if you are unsettled about where we are as a church, where we're going as a church, I want to hear from you. I love you, and I know you love us. And so, with any kind of frustration, I want to invite you to turn that frustration into a passion to help us change things. To consider, man, how can we get creative with the context of where we are, so that we do church in a way that honors the Lord and is good for the context of the people of Christ Freedom. And then at the same time, I want to invite you to pray for us and pray with us that God would open up doors, that we can gather in a way that we can kind of do our own thing. And so placement is important here. And so we're even thinking, what does a Christmas holiday service look like? And so there's some options, but we really need help with determining how we will gather for the celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. And so, church, there's so much that we are processing, I am processing, and that I'm inviting our leaders to process as well. And we do need your help. And so we can use your help in helping to structure things, your hands to help organize things, to help implement things, especially as we consider the drive-in services and potentially a Christmas Eve service, wherever that will be. Just know that we are not thinking about these things. Know that we are prayerfully praying to the Lord, consistently laboring in thought to really consider, what does church look like for Christ Freedom, a 2-year-old church plant that has done very well in a pandemic where God has just provided so many resources for us, and also looking to the future for what that will look like going into 2021. And so yeah, pray for us, church. We need that. But also, we want to hear your frustration. We want to hear your concerns. You can share those things, especially with the leadership, to help us consider how we can grow and be better. We don't have it all figured out. And so, church, I love you, and I'm so grateful to be here. And I feel your love, and I feel your kindness, and I see it. And so I hope this is helpful to hear as we are still planning for what the rest of the year and even 2021 will look like. We are processing, we are praying, and we are thinking about what the practice of the gathering will look like into the new year. And so, love you, church. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Talk to you guys later. Bye.